Hello. All right, we will call to order the Tuesday, November 12th special Timmins Council meeting. Ms. Peters Garcia, will you take the roll?
Yes. Mayor Robert Oxmacher,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Luke Wagner,
Here.
Councilmember Jeremy Holt,
Here.
Councilmember Bill Jenkins,
Okay, four of us are present.
Oh, Lisa.
Councilmember Lisa Lake. Here.
Sorry. Four of us are present. Thank you. We have one business item today, which is to discuss the annual review for the town manager. At this time, is there a motion to move to executive session pursuant to CRS 246402-4F for discussion of personnel matters related to the annual review of the town manager?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor of moving to executive session signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay? All right, we will move to executive session. Ms. Steffel, can you make a record as to our obligation to record or not record this meeting? Favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? All right, so we are back in our special session. Melissa, are we back on the record? Very good. This time, is there a motion to adjourn the special Timmins Town Council meeting?
Motion to adjourn the special meeting.
Okay, second.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
We're adjourned. Let's reconvene in 5.
You know, in terms of bragging, I was thinking, have you told council in any of your updates about the new FOIA system? That'd be a really good update. Yeah. Yeah, because it's, you know, they want us to be proactive in terms of like, yeah, it's using new technology, it's being proactive, it's being more responsive. You don't want to encourage them to do more requests. Well,
that's,
but
yeah,
definitely something.
Definitely something.
it's a big,
Yeah.
it's a big improvement that you've made.
Yeah.
It will be once we get, get things.
right, good evening. Welcome, everyone. I will call the Tuesday, November 12th, Timnath Town Council meeting to order. Ms. Peters Garcia, will you take the roll?
Yes, Mayor Robert Uxmacher,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Luke Wagner,
Here.
Councilmember Jeremy Holt,
Here.
Councilmember Bill Jenkins,
Here.
Councilmember Lisa Lake.
Here.
All right, we are all here. Counselor, is there any requests to amend the agenda this evening? Seeing none, we will move on to public comment. Public comment is an opportunity for members of the community to share their thoughts with council. You can speak to anything relating to town business. We do ask, however, that if there is a specific public hearing on an item, that you speak during that agenda item. We do not have any public hearing items today, so anyone who wishes to share can do so now. Ms. Peters Garcia, has anyone signed up? All right. Seeing that no one signed up, I will offer it. Is there anyone out there that did not sign up but would like to share their thoughts with council? Going once, going twice. All right. We will move on now to the consent agenda. Consent agenda this evening consists of 3 items. First, the approval of the October 22nd Town Council meeting minutes. Second, the October 18th check register. And third, the November 1st check register. Council, any requests to pull an item from the consent agenda? Very well. At this time, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as read?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Very well. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as read signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The consent agenda is approved unanimously. We'll now move on to reports. Council, anything to share?
I've got an item.
Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, so I have my council chat, November 19th, from 6 to 7 p.m. at Tinmouth Middle High in the Summit Room. So encourage everybody to come out, have a chat. This will be, I think, our first one at Tinmouth Middle High. So if you want to come out and answer questions or ask questions, and I'll answer any questions you got, we'll be out there from 6 to 7 p.m. on November 19th.
Very good. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And speaking of council chats,
Yes.
how does your go?
Yeah. So, yeah, I enjoyed my council chat. We were pretty busy. I think one of the major issues that came up was one, excitement about the Poudre River Trail, but also one of the individuals was really concerned about the county piece and what the town could do to help move that along. And my understanding is that there's still a right-of-way issue and also a bridge component. But I don't know if you have an update, Tom.
So I reached out to my contact with Larimer County. I haven't heard back yet. I do understand though that the right of way portion has been taken care of. It just hasn't, there's some stuff they got to do there, but as soon as I hear back, I'll let you guys know.
All right. So, yeah, but everything I've read indicates that spring of 2025 should be good. The other issue that came up was related to crosswalks particularly in Old Town. And I know that's being worked on with an overall safety plan for the town. So hopefully those things will happen in the near future. But it was a good session.
Thank you. Any other updates? I just have 3. First, congratulations on the opening of the Parkway from Busgrove to 4th. Did that happen on November 1st, November 2nd, something like that? Had a chance to drive that. It's great to have that open. So thank you to everyone who made that a possibility. I also noticed that there's work going on at Signal Tree and Harmony to do the double left there. So I was curious, Justin, do we have an update on when that'll be fully implemented?
Yeah, weather looks like it's good, so we're looking at doing that on Friday morning is a tentative schedule, but as you know, with Colorado weather and different things, but We have, if you notice, we've got it marked off. The cone's ready to go. We just need to get the signal equipment all ready to go and do that. So.
Great, thank you. And then finally, Chief, I wanted to thank you and your officers for the work on Halloween. I was out trick or treating with my family, and Sergeant Richards pulled up in his patrol vehicle and jumped out with a big old bucket of candy. And of course, he had no idea that it was us. It was clearly your officers were doing that all over town, and I just really appreciate that outreach. So please pass along my gratitude for that. Very good. And then we'll send them over to the little gym to burn off that sugar. Very good. All right. Anything else before we move on? All right. Next, we have agenda item 5B, an update on the Old Town Steering Committee. Director Robinson.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I just wanted to give an opportunity to give an update on the status of the Old Town Steering Committee. I'm very happy to report that the town received 18 applications, which is exciting to see. There was so much excitement around the interest to serve the community. So thank you to all those who applied. Committee met to evaluate those, and the goal was to basically identify people that either owned a business, which neighborhood they resided in, the tenure with the town, how long they lived here, demographic composition, as well as external compositions and other assets that they bring to the committee. And so with that, felt like we really have a very good diverse representation. They appointed 6 members. We have posted the meeting packet on the town's website, which is available under agendas and minutes, sent out announcements to everybody on the committee. Also have notified all applicants about their status of being appointed or not, encouraged them to continue to participate in the process. And so our first meeting is coming up on Monday, November 18th at 5 p.m. at 4800 Goodman, the Parks and Administration Building. So look forward to kicking off our first meeting. That meeting will largely be organizational, get opportunity for committee members to meet each other, learn a bit about the background of the formation of the committee and kind of the mission or charge of the committee. So looking forward to that.
Very good. Thank you. I appreciate all the effort that went into screening and thoughtfully selecting the community members for that. I agree that you came up with a very nice broad representation of the community. For those that are interested, those committee meetings are open to the public, correct? So we look forward to those updates. Council, anything on that item? All right, very good. Thank you. We will now move on to our regular business items. And we will begin today with a special recognition of the Bethke Service Leadership Club. So at this time, I'm going to ask our guests to join me here in the well. Mayor Pro Tem, would you be willing to help me with this? All right, guys, yeah, you want to stand right here. All right, well, we have with us today the Bethke Service Leadership Club. This club is comprised of interested 4th and 5th graders and is dedicated to serving both the Timnath and Bethke communities. Recently, the club participated in the CSU Cans Around the Oval event, a food drive that benefits the Larimer County Food Bank. They collected approximately 1,800 canned goods and effectively managed communications and collection efforts for the initiative. Throughout the year, this club actively seeks opportunities to serve Timnath and its local education community. Its primary focus is to promote service and volunteerism among students. Additionally, the club engages in leadership workshops to enhance leadership skills. There are approximately 40 active members of the club. We, the town of Timnath, would like to take this opportunity to commend and acknowledge the students who could be here tonight, along with their sponsor, Renee McClure, on behalf of the town. And I know that there are about 40 members. We have certificates for all the members. But here this evening, I would like to specifically recognize each of you who were able to come and join us today. Mayor Pro Tem Wagner has a certificate for each of you. So first, Ryan Brown. Hayden Sanchez. John Wagner. Bennett Veronin. McKinley Veronin. Carmelita Parsitia. Did I get it close? And London Wilson. And then we have a certificate for the entire club here, which we will present to Ms. McClure. Congratulations to each of you. There you go. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Ms. McClure?
Thank you.
And could I get council maybe to come down and join us? We can do a picture. All right, good job, guys. Thank you for everything you've done. Okay, moving on to item 6B. We have an educational session regarding the potential overlay process with Larimer County. I believe we're welcoming Mr. Lafferty and Ms. Everett from the county. So thank you both for being here. And Mr. Robinson, are you introducing us here?
Talk one. How's it like? Thank you.
Mr. Lafferty, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Hopefully we can get my PowerPoint to pop up here. Give me a second to log on. Will the PowerPoint pop up? It's not coming up. That's why I make copies. No, that's all right. I can work without it. That's fine. I've given you all a couple copies of things up there. One of the copies that I gave you was the actual PowerPoint presentation. So we can work with that if you don't mind. My name is Matt Lafferty. I'm the principal planner with Larimer County Community Development Department. And tonight with me is Rebecca Everett. She's also, she's our community development director, and she's also here to answer any questions that you guys might have. We appreciate your time and efforts for allowing us to come in here and talk to you tonight. For those of you that don't recall, in October of 2020, Larimer County and the town of Timnath entered into an intergovernmental agreement regarding land use matters. That intergovernmental agreement was later adopted in 2021 to add a couple of exhibits that outlined how we would address transportation as far as roads and some of those types of things. So it was a minor amendment that was added to it. But basically, the intergovernmental agreement that was adopted was intended to serve as a tool for how Timnath and the county would interact together or work together cooperatively in your planning area to make sure that your land use objectives are adhered to or at least implemented over a period of time. So the primary purpose of that was to do that. Some of the features that were included in that agreement included how annexation might occur if you have contiguity with properties, private property in the county, and they propose development, then we would expect that you would annex it and process those applications. If it's not contiguous, then that gives the county the opportunity to process the application in alignment with what your long-term land use goals are. It also says who has decision-making authority and what development standards and certain development rights are adhered to for the area that we call the growth management area. And so on page 3 of your packet, I noted that there are 2 GMA terms that we use here. You all use the term GMA as your growth management area as your planning boundary. And that extends partly into Weld County and up north of Cobb Lake. And that's just your planning boundary. The intergovernmental agreement that we adopted has a separate planning boundary, and it does not include those properties that are in Weld County. And it stops on the south side of Cobb Lake. It does not extend across Richard Lakes Road. So it's a little bit different, and I wanted to point that out, that we don't share the common boundary on that. And that was something that we all agreed on at that time. So what we're here for to talk about tonight is from the county's perspective, when we adopted that growth management boundary with you in the IGA, we outlined certain principles that were going to happen in that area that we agree upon in the unincorporated areas. That agreement is between the town and the county. It does not include private property owners. And so if the private property owner in the unincorporated area of the county, but in your GMA, comes forward and says to us that they want to develop land, we're obligated to process that application pursuant to their zoning and what our land uses say in the county. It doesn't give us any broad authority to say, we want you to align with the town of Timnath. It just doesn't say that. In the agreement, it would say that that's our goal. But there's nothing that implies that the property owner has to agree to that agreement because it was only between us and we're private parties. So in the history at Larimer County, starting in 2000, Fort Collins and the town of Loveland and Windsor have all gone into agreements with us. And we have what we call an IGA overlay zone district. And what that does is it implements Article 2 of our land use code, which is our zoning section of our land use code. And in there it says that when we've jointly adopted an IGA in a growth management area with somebody and we put the overlay zone district on top of the existing zoning that is out in the county, then those private property owners through the process of zoning now have to comply with what our code says. And our code would then say that you need to align with the town of Timnath's rules, or at least their land use objectives. Not all your rules would apply, but your land use objectives would apply as far as density and types of land uses, zoning, commercial, residential. And so the idea there is that we would use that zoning category to help us have the tools necessary to make sure that what our agreement says we can actually do. So what we wanted to ask, before I go there, I wanted to talk about what the benefits of that overlay zone district are. First, again, it applies to private property rights. So it says that the private property owners in Larimer County that will ultimately be within your town limits would follow the overlay zone district. That means they have the right to develop their property pursuant to their current zoning. We're not taking that away from them. So if they wanted to come in and develop it, very rural densities, they can. But if they wanted to look to your comprehensive plan and your rules and say, we want to develop it Timnath's level, maybe it's commercial, maybe it's a higher density, then they can move to that direction and we can apply the right zoning and make sure that that happens to make it consistent with your rules. So it would apply to those private property owners. It allows the county to direct land use proposals to align with town goals. It requires applications, those types of applications to meet certain infrastructure standards. So we've adopted certain standards for drainage and for roads. So we agree with the town that there is a certain road standard we want to meet. And so we're going to make sure that those standards get met and achieved. It defines management and maintenance of the infrastructure to make sure that, you know, are you maintaining it? Are we maintaining it? Or is the private properties maintaining that stuff? So it clears that stuff up. It emphasizes an implementation of annexation policy. So it reassures what we've written down in our intergovernmental agreement is applied. It can be used to collect impact fees. So if you had a park fee that you wanted us to be collecting, I know in like Loveland, Fort Collins, we have community park fees, and we have regional and local park fees. And so we collect the local park fees for the municipality, and then we transfer those over to them to make sure that they're meeting those needs for those types of things. That's not in our current intergovernmental agreement, but those are things that we can think about in the future. And then it ensures that we agreed upon procedural practices that are outlined in the IGA are followed. So you know what our processes are and you can expect us to meet those principles. So with that, I think what we're asking here tonight is that you, as a town council, agree with us, the county, that this is probably the best effort to put this into place, this overlay zone district into place. That requires us to have public hearings and to probably potentially meet with the public out there and let them know that we're doing this. And, you know, we're applying zoning to their property. They have a fair right to know what's going on with their land. To educate them, we would want you to hopefully agree that this is a good practice for you all and for them if they come speaking to you. But aside from that, if you guys would agree to that, I think that this is something that the county wants to pursue forward with. It'll help our staff tremendously. And we'll go ahead and start the process of implementing IGA overlay zone district for your GMA boundaries as currently outlined in our IGA. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Rebecca's here. If you have any questions or if you want to add something, feel free to come up.
Yeah, would this overlay zoning apply to the red zone up by Cobb Lake as well?
To the area north of Richard Lakes Road? No, it wouldn't.
Okay.
But I'm happy that you brought that up. In the Larimer County Comprehensive Plan, and the reason why we left that area out of the IGA, when we did our comprehensive plan, we identified that as an area that's situated between Timnath, Fort Collins, and Windsor that has a high value for agricultural purposes and other purposes.
You mean
We wanted
Wellington?
to make that a cooperative planning area. And so I think in the next couple of years, we'll come in and we'll talk about what that means as a cooperative planning area.
Okay,
Thank you, sir. Good.
I just have a clarifying question. Did I hear correctly where if a property owner that's within our GMA but currently in county, if they were to develop, and let's say we move ahead with this, am I correct that they have a choice of either using what they are currently zoned at in the county, or if we have the PDA overlay, they could then choose to zone in what the town of Timnath has. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so they would still have the choice to remain as they are now, even if ours is different.
Right, because we can't take their current zoning rights away. And if they want to change, then we can elevate their zoning to comply with you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Does that, those conditions apply even if the property is surrounded by the town but still in the county?
If it's surrounded by the town, you know, and I don't want to speak for your planning staff, but if it's completely surrounded by the town for a period of 3 years, it becomes an enclave and the town should forcibly annex
Got it,
that
got it.
property. If
Thanks.
it's surrounded
Yep.
by the town and it's not a full enclave, we would still ask that the town pursue annexation before we take any action on the property.
Got it. Thank you.
And
That's
that
helpful.
also occurs when you have contiguity. So if you have state statute contiguity, 1/6 contiguity with a property, we would ask that you first pursue annexation. And if that annexation fails, then we would lean on the intergovernmental agreement to give us advice as to which direction we should go as to, does the county approve development or does it not?
Perfect. That makes sense. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Well, Mr. Lafferty, Ms. Everett, thank you very much for being here this evening. Director Robinson, I appreciate you working with the county on this. My take is there really is an issue to be solved here, and I appreciate your willingness to tackle it. When folks look to develop property in the county, the first question that gets asked is, do we, Timnath, want to annex that? And sometimes that makes sense and sometimes it doesn't. If it's, not near us and we're looking at a flagpole annexation with a lot of expense to do that, it may not make sense, but this overlay would still provide an avenue for our standards to be applied for 20 years from now, 30 years from now, when that area does get annexed, to make sure that what's there is in alignment with the comprehensive plan. This makes a lot of sense, at least from my perspective. Please let us know what we can do to support this. I'd be happy to come and speak to your governing board as they consider adopting this and advocate on behalf of the town and the proposal. So thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Council, anything else?
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. All right. Let us now move on to agenda item 6C, first reading and setting of a public hearing for December 10th, 2024 at 6 p.m. regarding ordinance 16 series 2024, an ordinance summarizing expenditures and revenues for each fund, adopting a budget and appropriating sums of money to the various funds and spending agencies in the amount and for the purpose set forth below for the town of Timnath, Colorado, for the calendar year beginning first day of January 2025 and ending the last day of December 2025. In short, this is first reading for the budget. And so, Ms. Gigliardi, can you bring us up to speed?
Yes, we're at the second to the last step in the budget process. So this is just the first reading, setting the public hearing. Just want to remind everyone of the process and timeline we went through. We started prep between department heads and town manager in June all the way through September. Council had a work session on September 30th to go over the details of the draft budget. We incorporated that council feedback and then we posted the budget on the website, blasted on social media, and so forth, and accepted public comment on the draft budget. The public comments are attached to the packet. Staff did not make any assumptions or adjustments to the budget based on those public comments. At the December meeting, when you're holding the public hearing, council can weigh those and make adjustments to the budget at that time, and then we could finalize it after. So you would just amend the resolution and we could amend the budget during that time. Between now and December, we'll be preparing a final budget document that you're used to seeing, that has more narrative. And then we will be making some final adjustments based on the property tax projections, based on the final assessed value from the county, known rollover of capital projects that we know we won't be completing in 2024 to roll some of those funds into 2025. And then any significant changes based on building permit fees and expenses. Those are our larger portion of our revenue expenses. So we want to adjust those. And with that, looking forward to the December meeting.
Great, thank you. And we've of course had work sessions on this. Appreciate the public comment, specifically from Wade Fickler, Dustin Pizer, and Dennis Strakota. So I know all of council has had an opportunity to review that. We will have a full public hearing and an opportunity to discuss the budget. I would ask, council members, if there is any request to amend the proposed budget, it would be helpful if you gave me and Ms. Gigliardi a heads up on that, just so that we can be prepared with any of those proposed amendments and whatnot, so that goes cleanly. Any questions at this point? Okay. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve on first reading and set a public hearing for December 10th, 2024, for ordinance 16, series 2024, as previously read, in short, the budget.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Council, any discussion on this matter? Very good. All those in favor of approving on first reading and setting a public hearing for December 10th, 2024 at 6 PM signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Very good. Carries unanimously, and we will be here for a public hearing on December 10th for the budget. Thank you. Item 6D, resolution number 71, series 2024, resolution approving the 2025 Ladera Business Improvement District operating plan and budget. Ms. Steffel.
Thank you. So the town has one business improvement district within its boundaries, which is the Ladera Business Improvement District. Just to give you a little background on the district, it operates similar to a metropolitan district. A business improvement district is a political subdivision that has an elected board of directors. The board of directors, though, it's a little bit different than a metropolitan district in that commercial owners can designate someone who would be designated to run for the board on behalf of a commercial lessee. Business improvement districts are authorized to finance public improvements. They are also authorized to provide several services to the area, such as consulting with regarding to planning and managing development activities, promotion and marketing within the district, planning events and activities that support the businesses within the district. The Ladera Business Improvement District was first organized in December 2021 by approval of the board, by the town council, and upon petition by the property owners. At the same time, there were two metropolitan districts organized, Ladera Metropolitan District number 1 and number 2. So if you think of the Ladera development phase 1 and phase 2, the property within the development will be ultimately incorporated into either the Metropolitan District number 1 or number 2 or the Ladera Business Improvement District, with the idea that the residential property would be included into the metropolitan districts, and all of the business and commercial development would be included within the business improvement district. One item with the business improvement district is that every year they have to present an operating plan and a budget to this town council for approval, which is different than a metropolitan district. And so that is the item that's before you today. That this proposed budget and operating plan is very similar to what was presented to this town council every year since 2021. In fact, the operating plan is nearly identical to past years. Because they are organized differently than a metropolitan district, a lot of the limitations are incorporated into the operations plan instead of being incorporated into a service plan like a metropolitan district would have. So some of those limitations include a limit of a mill levy of 50 mills for debt service, as it can be adjusted for changes in evaluation in the process of setting assessed valuation. And there's also a debt service limit, which is a limit along with, it's an aggregate limit for the metropolitan districts and the business improvement district together of $95 million of debt. And the proposed budget before you, and then it also the operating plan also incorporates some other limitations that are in your model service plan, so that those same limitations would apply to a business improvement district. The proposed budget for 2025 is also very similar to the budget that was approved in 2024. So it does show that debt would be issued and project that debt would be issued in 2025 and that there would start to be payments for capital improvements. And as noted, that is one of the powers of a business improvement district, is they can pay for the capital infrastructure for public improvements. They do project in their budget issuing bonds in the amount of $30 million. That amount was included in the 2024 budget, but they did not proceed to issue any bonds in 2024. So they are rebudgeting that for 2025. The Business Improvement District cannot issue bonds, levy taxes, fees, or assessments until the town has approved an operating plan and a budget. And those are the key points. We also have in the Ethernet, we have the attorney for the Business Improvement District. Nicole Paykoff is available via Zoom and can answer any questions you have if you have questions in addition to questions that I can answer.
Thank you. Questions, Councilman Jenkins?
Yeah, so just for clarification, you said that in the aggregate between Metro District 1, Metro District 2, which would apply to Phase 1, Phase 2 in terms of the geography, the Business Improvement District would cover both Phase 1 and Phase 2 ultimately of the commercial property, as I understood. As new commercial properties came online in Phase 2, they would be added to the Business Improvement District. Is that correct?
That is my understanding.
Okay, and then since there are two metro districts that have been created, but they're only applying, the metro district only concerns residential property, and therefore, if there are no residential properties ever created within Phase 1, then there ultimately would only be a metro district in Phase 2. Is that correct?
That would be correct. So
Okay.
they each had an original boundaries when they were organized. And I don't recall whether those were in Phase 1 or Phase 2. So there was a small piece of property that was in the initial boundaries and all the rest was in future inclusion areas. So it would be including into either a metro district or the Business Improvement District, depending on what the proposed
But
development
never
was.
both.
But not both.
On what happens if it's a property that well, I suppose I'm thinking if they were to ever build like commercial on the first floor and townhomes on the second and third floor, that would kind of create an overlap, right?
Yeah, that might be a question for Nicole on Zoom, but I would have to double check in here. My guess is that if it was a mixed development, it would probably be in the Business Improvement District because I believe that the Metropolitan District's service plans limited them to residential only, but I'd need to double check that.
Okay. Yeah, I know there was some discussion at one point of some unique developments that might include that. So I was just curious.
Just in case Nicole is not on, I'm Tony Connell. I'm one of the partners in Ladera. And so, Bill, your question is exactly what we had envisioned and as a possibility is in a mixed use situation, such as we have projected on the lakeside area. The residential would be in a metro district and the underlined would be the Business Improvement District for that.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it would be, and that's what we.
It would just be a little bit of an overlap
And then
there.
I
but
think
yeah.
on our master plan, what we envisioned was that another area that was east of Weitzel that was completely multifamily
Right.
or some kind of residential. And that would be its own district.
Got
The
it.
metro district. But the mixed use portions would have both.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Steffel, is it possible to address the council as well? To clarify?
Yes, go ahead, Nicole. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you. This is Nicole Paykov on behalf of the Ladera Business Improvement District. I wanted to clarify that there would not actually be an overlap with a mixed use building. Once the building is condominiumized, the ground floor would only be included in the business improvement district. And then the floors above, that would be the residential, whether it be townhome, condo, or something similar. That property would be included into the metropolitan district. So there would actually be no overlap.
Thank you. That was a tricky
you.
question.
Condominiumized. I
I
learned
have
Thank you,
practiced it
Nicole.
a lot.
Mayor Pro Tem.
And Carolyn, just to make sure, when we authorize this budget tonight, I just want to make sure the debt of the district does not constitute the debt of the town in any way. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is very clear in the operating plan that the town has no liability for this debt.
Perfect, thank you. And so when we look at the budget and we look at this, does this business district have to go through any sort of a legal audit in any way? How do we, and what kind of audits would this if so, what kind of an audit does this business district have to go through? And what is our responsibility in that sense as the council?
So the Business Improvement District, I believe, would be subject to the State Audit Act. And so they are required to do an audit unless they fit in the audit exemption category, which Nicole might correct me if I'm wrong, might be $60,000 for a short form audit and $120,000 or less for a long form audit, but they change those numbers from time to time. So if their revenue and expenditures are under a certain amount, they can have an audit exemption. However, as soon as they issue debt, it is likely that the lender will require them to do an audit anyway. So they are required to either do an audit exemption or an audit that will be publicly available on the state auditor's website every year, and likely it will be an audit.
Okay. And as this council, will that be something we look at as an audit, or we just come back to this budget this next year in the same time once the debt's been issued?
Just the budget.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? All right, at this time, is there a motion to approve Resolution 71, Series 2024, a resolution approving the 2025 Ladera Business Improvement District Operating Plan and Budget?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, council, any commentary?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward and pretty much what was approved.
I agree. It's essentially what we approved last year. They didn't get to issuing debt, but for all the reasons it made sense last year, I think it makes sense this year.
Yeah, after reviewing it, yeah, I went back and looked at last year's packet and it looks essentially the same. I saw there was some small operating changes, but I think we're essentially approving the same thing, so I'm going to vote for it.
Okay. Very well. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, it carries unanimously. We'll move on to item 6E, a resolution approving the disposition and disposal of lost, abandoned, or recovered stolen property. Chief Jones.
Hello, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. Tonight is a request for approval of a resolution regarding the disposition of disposal of lost, abandoned, or recovered and stolen property. This boils down to safekeeping evidence and found property. Some of the stipulations in the ordinance are we have to maintain custody of safekeeping for 90 days, found properties 30 days. Invariably, the list before you, there's only a couple of items of value regarding maybe an option, but I don't know what manner or shape or form you would facilitate an auction, because most of this property is of little value. There's only two items of note. It's a kayak and a drill. And maybe those could be absorbed into the inventory system for the town. Public Works, maybe the recipient of a GIL if it's the drill if it's functional, or the kayak possibly for the Parks Department. But I would be happy to answer any questions. This property goes back to about 2016. We've only done one of those in my tenure, so 3.5 years ago. And we disposed of it routinely through profit organizations, Goodwill, Arc thrift stores, particularly the bicycles. And then most of it went into the dumpster, or it was destroyed entirely.
Thank you. Council, any questions? I did have a question maybe for Ms. Steffel. I know our town code requires us to come to council. Is that maybe something in the future we could look at an amendment to delegate authority to throw some of the stuff away directly to the chief?
No problem. We'll work on that for you.
Great. Thank you. All right. At this time, is there a motion to approve the resolution approving disposition and disposal of lost, abandoned, or recovered stolen property?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? The resolution carries unanimously. Chief, you may dispose of the property.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah, what are you going to do with that space?
Yeah, we'll fill it.
All right.
Yeah, it'll be about three years before we're back.
All right. Item 6F, resolution number 73, series 2024, resolution approving Prost Committee bylaws. Director Castle.
Yeah, so the Pros Committee was formed by a series of resolutions. So Resolution 45, Series 2020 approved the formation and the guidelines for the Parks, Recreation, Open Space and Trails Committee. And then there was a subsequent Resolution 52, which amended the previous resolution to make further changes. So what this current resolution will take the framework from both resolutions to create bylaws for the Pros Committee and allow future changes to the bylaws to be done at the town manager as necessary. The Pros Committee had a chance to review the bylaws, and they are in agreement with those. So we're just asking that we take it from a resolution and put it into an actual bylaws.
All right, thank you. Council questions? All right, appreciate the work on this. At this time, we'd entertain a motion to approve resolution series 73, numbers 73, series 2024, resolution approving the Pros Committee bylaws.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, council discussion? Seeing none? All those.
I'll
go
just
ahead,
add,
please.
just a quick comment. As Tom mentioned, the Pros Committee did look at this. They were all in favor of this. And I just want to point out the one topic that we did have a little bit of conversation about was term limits. So they were all in favor of including term limits, but also allowing one of them to take a position if we did not get enough applicants to do so. So I just wanted to point that one out, and thank you for putting all of these together for the committee.
Yeah, I'm going to support this. I always like when the committees come up with their own things and bring it to council, so I will be supporting it.
I agree. I will as well. I did take note of the term limits, and, I always have mixed feelings on those because I want to give everyone their fair chance. But also sometimes good help is hard to find. But that's what they want, and that works for me. Very well. All those in favor of resolution 73, series 2024, a resolution approving the Pros Committee bylaws signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The resolution passes unanimously. Finally, resolution number 74, series 2024, a resolution approving a delegation of authority to the Parks and Recreation Director. Ms. Steffel.
Thank you. This is an efficiency measure that staff has proposed that we bring to you to increase efficiency of their being able to operate. As you know, we now have a new Park and Rec Director where we did not have one in the past. Therefore, in the past, whenever we wanted any rules for Parks and Recreation, they did come to council for approval. And as some examples, you have the court reservation policy that you saw recently. There are also rules for park use, which are very short. And we expect that we're going to have additional rules as we move forward. Certainly, if the town has a recreation center, it would be very important to have rules, and very important that the Park and Rec Director be able to make changes with a lot of flexibility, without a lot of delay if a new issue were to come up. There are also new issues coming up, for instance, about scooters, about motorized bikes, about, so the technology changes, the use of our parks changes. And so Mr. Casal would like the flexibility to be able to approve modifications to rules, regulations, and policies for parks, open space, recreation centers. What am I missing? Basically anything, trails, anything that fits in his purview. And that is what this proposal is, and we are open to any questions.
Yeah, I'm in favor of this from efficiency point of view. Will the town manager review those changes prior to implementation as well?
Yes, it's in the resolution, actually in the delegation of authority. Thank you for reminding me of that he will consult, and they will be reviewed by both the town manager and the town attorney before
Awesome.
they're implemented.
Perfect. Thank you.
I would just ask, I mean, I'm in favor of this. Well, I would just ask, I mean, if something of size or notable change, just at least get, maybe whether it be in updates or whatever, get brought to us. I mean, rule changes are rule changes, right? And things like hours, things like that, I think doesn't need to come up here for, so I like this. But just, bring it to our attention if there is something of concern or larger.
I also mentioned this does include the reservoir as well as a recreation area.
We can always include those in the council reports and council updates. Plus, I would always take them to Prost committee as well.
Yep, perfect.
So.
All right, any other questions? Is there a motion to approve Resolution 74, Series 2024, a resolution approving delegation of authority to the Parks and Recreation Director?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion?
Like I said, I'm in favor of this, as long as we get good, legal oversight on it and town manager can, ride shotgun. And, so, yeah, I think it's great. I'll be voting for it.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Yep, I'm in favor of this as well. I think we've given direction as council to put professionals in place, and Tom's doing a great job, and I really appreciate the work he's doing. So I think putting decision makers in the right places and giving them decision-making authority is the right thing to do.
With great power comes great responsibility.
It's true.
I support the resolution. All those in favor of Resolution 74, Series 2024, resolution approving a delegation of authority to the Parks and Recreation Director signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. The resolution carries unanimously. Council, unless anyone is aware of something I'm not, I believe we can stand adjourned.